and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I'm Matt Cornah from off of DK Vine.
DK Vine? I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's...
Let me type that in right now. DKVine.com.
Yeah, it's a kind of it's like an art installation of a website, you know. So if you go on it, like what you see isn't quite the same as what you imagine you see. And that is art. And this is a brilliant way to open the show.
Are you the one who said blah?
I am the one who said blah. I said it with my fingers.
So yeah, Matt, DK Vine, the site is down right now. And I guess now that I've got you on the air here with me this week, before we get to all the Rool related shenanigans, I want to ask you, why haven't you fixed DK Vine? What's wrong with DK Vine? Matt, fix it. Fix it, Matt.
Right. There's nothing wrong with it. I like it the way it is now. I like it I like it when it just doesn't work at all. Right. You know, some people liked it when the new theme slowed the computers down too much. Some people didn't like that. But I preferred it when just nothing there. And that doesn't slow your computer down at all.
Right. One thing you can't argue is this new theme definitely doesn't slow your computer down.
Yeah, it's our new skin. It's themed after it's Mr. Pants Mobile.
No, I was going to say something really just like Mario Party E.
Yeah, because no one's played that. Right. Probably that's what it's like.
Trust me, yeah. It is the equivalent to a white screen that says blah on it. That is no that.
It's a shame that no one's picked up on the genius of the new, especially considering how long I slaved over that bastard.
No, we're gonna fix the site. I think we don't know what exactly is wrong with it right now. We think Chad might.
It's been infested, I think, with rats.
Rats, yeah, ship rats,
web rats.
It's actually our Sea of Thieves theme. We're just breaking it out early. I don't know. We don't think it's an attack by Mother Russia this time. So for all of you who,
it's an attack.
Oh, I'm sorry?
It's an attack by Mother Teresa.
From beyond the grave, she's coming out of one of those helpful Mother Teresa doors. She's going to give us good advice about how to get a banana in Angry Aztec.
Yeah.
You know how Mother Teresa would say to get a golden banana in Angry Aztec? Do you know how she would say that?
Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a hack reference, to be honest.
She would say, "Don't use a condom," and then your bananas will be golden. Because she was famously anti-birth control, and she let... Okay, so anyway, I don't want to get political this week, Matt. That is the last thing I want to do. Because, everybody's talking politics this weekend.
Everyone's always banging on about the politics.
Everybody...
What about the fucking Donkey Kong, man?
I mean, everybody has
Who's talking about the Donkey Kong?
Everybody has something to say about, this or that, president, who's it, and what's it. And, I want to get away from that. I don't want to have a political episode of the Kongversation. So, apropos of nothing, I thought this would be a good time to discuss a completely incompetent narcissist who can't handle failure, that ascended to the highest position of power in his civilization and promptly saw it irreversibly laid waste to in just a few short years after taking power, mostly thanks to his poor decision-making. Of course...
Oh, I didn't know this show was going to be about me. Bloody hell.
No, of course I'm talking about Rool. Rool. So...
I apologize for derailing your brilliant bit of stand-up comedy there.
Yeah, what's the deal with me doing stand-up comedy here on the Kongversation? I'm just doing the stand-up routine, and then you come and you heckle me with your...
That's exactly what I am. I've realized this, actually, from my few appearances on this show. I am just a heckler, aren't I?
Yeah,
you've got these well-constructed thoughts and feelings that you want to convey on the show, and you do so admirably, and then you bring like a weird know-me man like me onto the show, and all I do is shout you down, and just ruin the flow of everything you're saying. And it's a disgrace that you.
Yeah, this is the conversation. It's supposed to be a back and forth between two people, but what?
No, it's not going to happen. There will be no conversing during this episode. It will just be two men waiting for their turn to speak. Men, boys.
Well, I think that's very appropriate for somebody like K. Rool because
And what is it with airline food?
What is it with airline food? I mean, come on! It's you got the honey roasted peanuts. Why do they have to be honey roasted? How much of my ticket price is going to the honey and to the roasting?
About 4 cents, I think. 4 cents.
Unnecessary. All right, so anyway, I should do some due diligence now that we've already lost everybody who is already listening to the show. I think now would be.
I have to say, the remainder of the audience at this point is the hardcore of DK Vine, because this intro, as an intro, that was absolutely abominable.
Right.
And I take full responsibility.
Okay, well, at least I can sleep tonight. So, back DK Vine on Patreon. Give us money.
I can't because you got me doing this fucking show.
I don't give a damn about your time zones. Right? You should be on American time, Matt. Actually, well, I guess I'm on Russia time now. So, anyway, DK Vine on Patreon, dkvine.com, when it works, /Patreon. We would appreciate your support. We're going to give you stickers. Matt, you know what the new stickers are. The new stickers that are going to be sent out February, that anybody who backs us on Patreon for $1 or more will get. Even if you already got last year's stickers, you're also going to be getting the new stickers. And Matt, you know what the new stickers are, but we're not saying what the new stickers are. But what would you think about the new stickers? Do you like the new stickers? How do the new stickers make you feel?
I like the new stickers. I can put them on and then I go to school and then all the other boys and girls think that I am the coolest one in the school because I have got stickers on my face. I like stickers on my face.
You see, audience at home?
And that is what people who support us on Patreon sound like.
Exactly. This could be you.
Yeah.
You could have stickers on your face, and you could be
You could be the coolest kid in school with
Stickers on your face.
You could be the most popular little boy or little girl in all the land with your stickers. Why are we being creepy? Why do we have to be creepy about this?
Well, for starters, we run a Donkey Kong website, so I think it's tacit in that job description that we have to be a little bit creepy.
Okay. Maybe I should be taking notes because I feel like this is stuff I should have figured out a long time ago.
Yeah. Your life is a waste of time.
I know that, and the sad thing is my waste of time of a life currently has no meaning because the site is down. So I'm just adrift on this ball of mud hurtling through space. I literally, if I died tomorrow, my life would amount to nothing.
Well, at least no one would get to listen to this shit.
That's true. Yeah. Hopefully I die right after I get this episode up. That is.
Yeah. You know what, Hyle? I'll meet you halfway. Hopefully I die as well.
Oh, that would be great then.
Oh man, how good would that be though? The Suicide Pact episode.
No, that would be great. I mean,
that would go ballistic on the internet if that ever got out. It wouldn't. No one would care.
No one would care. No. Yeah. Actually, people would probably celebrate if nothing else.
Right?
Who
do you think would celebrate at your funeral, Hyle?
Kupal.
Okay, yeah.
Beloved DK Vine 4 member Kupal would probably dance on my grave and be very happy that now his Kremlin source theory would go unimpeded.
You know, this is a massive tangent, but you know what? It's quite late where I am at the moment, listeners. So I feel as though the only way I can get through this episode is just say whatever stupid wank comes into my head. So I'll just proceed anyway. So a while ago, I was on the YouTubes. Have you heard of the YouTubes? It's like a site on the internet where you can watch videos on it. And one of the recommendations came up to me, and it was a video of a kind of quite, I don't want to say chunky, but like a pudgy little boy dancing to the TT music from Diddy Kong Racing in what can only be described as a ludicrously over-enthusiastic manner. And it was the most charming thing I've ever seen. And when you said that Coupol would be dancing on your grave, the only image in my head was of that boy doing that dance on your grave to the TT music from Diddy Kong Racing. And now I've completed the thought. You can all go to bed.
You know, honestly, that would be my ideal funeral.
I'm going to have to see if I can find that. I'll put, if I can find that, I will put a link to it on the episode description of this, if the site is still up.
But considering I'm the one who usually writes the episode descriptions, it means I have to do it.
Well, you don't have to. I can go in and change it.
On both the site and YouTube and SoundCloud?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll do it all. I'm the king. I can do anything I want.
Check out DK Vine, allegedly. DKVine.com. So I've heard. If you're an enthusiast of the word blah, you'll love it. But the good news is our YouTube channel still works. DKVine.com/YouTube.
That is good news, isn't it? Oh, thank God.
I think our social media still works. I know Facebook is still working.
Because I don't want to miss the next part of the Hall of Fame. So,
yeah.
It's good news that that's still up.
I hope Blah wins. He's my favorite.
I'll tell you another thing about me being on this show, because it's not only quite late, but I'm sort of recovering from a bit of a sniffle. So my voice is going quite low quite a lot of the time. And it's quite enjoyable, really. But only for me and for no one else, I think. No? No. Okay. Carry on. Crack on.
Oh, I thought you were going to give us an update about the Hall of Fame, but it just turned out to be a side anecdote about your voice.
Oh, no. Far be it from me to ever say anything of any relevance to what people are listening to this podcast for. That's not my MO.
Subscribe to the Kongversation on iTunes. Have you done that, Matt? Have you done it yet?
Oh, all right then.
Have you rated us on iTunes?
Oh, yeah, Jesus Christ, mate. One thing at a time.
Have you told your friends about the show?
Tell my friends. I don't have friends.
Well, at the very least, hashtag bring back the spiders. All right, then. So that's due diligence, and we can get to the actual topic at hand, and that's K. Rool. Hey. Matt, what do you think about K. Rool?
Should have thought about that question in advance. That's route one. What do you think about K. Rool? I like K. Rool. He's all right. Nice.
Yeah, so do I. Well, this has been Character Witness.
Okay, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good night, everybody. Blah. No. We probably.
Hey, so I've got lots of things that I think about K. Rool, but the problem, actually, I suppose the problem with a lot of Donkey Kong characters is that they, I don't want to say are poorly defined, but they end up being quite poorly defined simply as a side effect of how many different groups of people handle them with no apparent communication between one lump of people and another. So he is an inconsistent character.
I hear what you're saying, Matt, and I would argue...
You do, because I'm on microphone.
I do, yes. But I would argue that everything you're saying in that microphone is completely wrong. I would say that K. Rool is defined by that inconsistency, and that further serves his character development.
Well, okay, yeah. Okay, well, the problem, right, with making an argument like that to you, Hyle, is that you've already factored in everything about it.
Right.
So what you've done, right, is you've gone and thought about it for a bit and worked out a way that it works and then come up with a solution to it and thereby just shat all over my thoughts and arguments. And I don't know if I can deal with that for an entire podcast.
I mean, Chad has to do it when he's on. Nick has to do it when he's on. I mean, that comes with the territory of the Kongversation, which I refuse to ever sit out an episode of.
Right. You can sit this one out if you want. I'll just take it from here, man.
Matt's thoughts on K-Rool. No. I mean, look, I hear what you're saying. K-Rool, all Donkey Kong characters really have had the problem where, you know, they were under the guidance of Rare for roughly 8 years, and then still under the guidance of Rare because of the Game Boy Advance remakes and Diddy Kong Racing DS, but then also Namco got their hands on them, and then Payon, and then Retro. You know, there's been a lot of cooks in the kitchen, but I would argue that unlike Cranky, where he just weirdly gets kind for a couple years before he turns into a raging asshole again, K-Rool is kind of served.
The best kind of asshole.
K-Rool does have a kind of a character arc, even though you can hand wave a lot of that away by saying, oh, he's completely insane. I mean, it's the laziest kind of character building. It's the same thing with the Joker in Batman, where you can kind of write off any character inconsistency as it being part of his madness. But
hey, listen, what I was saying before, I didn't mean to say you couldn't. It was impossible to find a way to make this character arc, as you call it, work. You can make it work, but I think what I would say, I'm a big fan of the Rare K-Rool.
Mm-hmm.
And subsequently, other interpretations of him have been lacking.
Yeah, the retro K-Rool went by Lord Frederick, and it was just really... I didn't understand why he was suddenly a walrus.
He was really off-model, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And they spelt his name wrong.
Yeah, I didn't understand why suddenly he was a walrus, and anyway, so...
Yeah. But he had a nice moustache, so what's not to like?
I'm surprised K-Rool hasn't had a big, fake mustache, as you would say, yet.
I'm very surprised. Well, I was surprised.
Like his next costume is literally just the glasses with the fake nose and the mustache. And,
the Groucho Marx mask. Yeah.
So, you know, I mentioned the Joker, and K-Rool very much is, you know, Donkey Kong's...
Clown K-Rool! Hey, here's a fun section. Let's think of some more disguises that K-Rool can have. We'll have some of that later on in the show. Stay tuned.
I have a feeling that's going to be coming up in the calls, because when you open up the calls to K-Rool...
We've got more of that to look forward to.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
When you open up questions about K-Rool, inevitably it's going to be, well, what disguise do you think he should be at next? So, but he is, you know, the equivalent of the Joker or Lex Luthor or Bowser. He is Donkey Kong's main villain. Donkey Kong can have lots of villains over the years, but K-Rool is always going to be that very personal nemesis that always means a little bit more than everybody else. So what I want to do with this, since it is a character witness, is we're going to go over his entire timeline, the biography of K-Rool. And through the course of it, we're going to learn some things, not only about K-Rool, but about ourselves.
And about each other.
And maybe...
And about our families.
And maybe, in the end, it'll be a slightly better world.
It won't be. It'll be... It's just... We're fucked. We're fucked. DK Vine's down. Could it get any worse than that?
If anything, this episode's going to be the small tipping point needed to cause the world to descend into complete anarchy. All it takes is a spark, you know, and maybe this episode will be so legendarily bad that riots will break out. Riots among, you know, maybe 2 people, but it'll be enough to start larger riots where people are upset about other more important things. I have thought about this.
Yeah, I mean, all of what you just said was true.
Let's get into what we know about the prehistory of K. Rool. K. Rool before Donkey Kong Country. And it's not much. But what we do know, what we do absolutely know, is that K. Rool is a Kremling. Who was the king of the Kremlings? And he lived in K. Rool's Keep on Crocodile Isle. The thing I like about K. Rool's Keep is it's a complete shithole of a castle. It's like there's no luxuries to be had there. It is just a long, towering dungeon with torchlight.
Full of traps!
Yeah. I mean...
massively impractical. But at least you can get up and down it via chains. So,
right. Which, when you're a big, fat, lazy asshole of a king, that's how you want to get to your room at night, is climbing.
Do you think there's a stair lift somewhere in there?
What he's got is, those banister elevators that old people use in their homes with stairs that they just sit on it and it just takes them up their stairs?
That's what I meant, a stair lift.
I call them banister elevators, Matt. This is probably a cultural difference between the UK
well,
and the US.
yeah, that's understandable because banister airlift... sorry, what was it you said?
Banister elevator.
Yeah, banister elevator. Yeah, that's like a famous game show host over in the UK, so we can't call it that.
Yeah, you could...
Please welcome banister... What was it? Elevator.
Right, yeah.
Banister elevator!
You actually call them banister lifts over there. So, anyway, yeah, I don't know, but maybe he has like a really just nice room, like hidden away in K. Rool's Keep, and it's got all those, modern flourishes like working plumbing and a microwave.
Right. Yeah, that's good. What other things might K. Rool have in the hidden room in his castle?
Probably a shocking amount of pornography, considering I doubt.
Yeah.
Even despite the fact that he is ostensibly wealthy and has a great deal of power, I would imagine he doesn't have sex a lot. He claims to have a wife, but we know that was just made up. That was a lie.
Yeah, I would also imagine he doesn't have sex a lot. But sometimes I do imagine him having a little bit of sex, and I enjoy that a lot.
You're not the only one. Do a Google search of K. Rool sometime, and just make sure nobody's over your
I've
shoulder.
done it. Why not? That's the only way I can... Never mind.
Yeah, I know it doesn't work for you unless somebody is watching you look at shocking animal pornography, and then you can ejaculate. But it's just, I don't know. It's surprising how many people have a fantasy about K. Rool eating them, like literally, like eating them whole and them being in his belly.
Yeah, well, I mean, as a child of the 90s, I think it was one of those top 10 lists, wasn't it? You know you're a child of the 90s if you've thought about this. Been eaten by K. Rool. Yum yum.
Only 90s kids will understand this crocodilian bore. But whatever the deal is with K. Rool living in a shithole of a castle on a shithole of an island, we know he liked to get out and about too, because he had numerous ships. Even before the Gangplank Galleon, which we first saw in Donkey Kong Country, he had like a vessel of pirate ships that he seemed to keep crashing. He at least 3, maybe 4. There was the pirate ship in Crocodile Cauldron, the one in Krem Key. I almost said Krem Quay, but I've learned my lesson. And
but I like though that every time you say it, you do regale people with the history of your pronunciation of that word.
Look, if I don't shame...
Just the amount of time we've wasted on that one word.
If I don't shame myself each and every time I say it, how will I ever...
How will you ever do what?
How will I ever not pull myself out of this depressive spiral I constantly find myself in?
Well, I mean, the answer definitely isn't do a podcast with Matt Cornah.
Yeah, because you just heckle me. You just throw things at me.
Get off, you rubbish! No, I don't. Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. Yes, I do, don't I?
Yeah. So
Crack on.
there was also the pieces of pirate ship in Gloomy Gulch that somehow got up there, and then there is Gloomy Galleon, which some people think is the Gangplank Galleon, but I would beg to differ that no, those people are wrong.
It's about how many sunken ships are in that level? Like 1, 2. This is a podcast of Matt literally just counting what he remembers from a game. I think there's at least 3 sunken galleons and 1 that is afloat.
Right. There's the one that's afloat, but then there's the massive one that all the Kongs have to go into a different door.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Glower the Tadpole's there to light the way.
So there's that one, and then there's the one that's near the submarine. I wonder if that's the Nautilus. No, it wouldn't be. And then there's the one near Weddell. And then I think there's some... I mean, this is quite boring podcasting, so I won't carry on, but...
No, you know.
The point is he sunk a lot of ships. Have you got that yet?
Yeah, the Gloomy Galleon enthusiasts are finally... They're just having the best day of their lives because finally the Kongversation is talking about just how many sunken ships there might be in their favorite world. And this is what their whole life has been leading up to, I feel like. He also had a flying machine. Did you know that, Matt? Yeah, he did. It's the K Cruiser, a.k.a. the Flying Croc. And he would eventually get more of those, but the Flying Croc is the main one. And the only other thing we know about K. Rool is that he built factories on Donkey Kong Island and the Northern Hemisphere, which seems to be in clear violation of Kong and Bear sovereign territory. So even before he started, messing about with the Kongs, he was clearly pushing his luck and straining the probably already fractious Kong-Kremlin relations. I mean, wouldn't you say so?
I mean, how much information do we have, though? I mean, yeah, that was the sort of theme of those games, wasn't it? The industry versus nature thing. I think you've talked about this on the show before, so maybe I shouldn't bother mentioning it.
If we worried about what we've already talked about on the Kongversation, the show could have ended 4 years ago.
Right. Yes, you're right. Yeah. Okay. Vote Trump. See?
I think it's already too late for that unless you're talking about 2020.
All right.
But no, I mean, yeah, you're right, though. I mean, nature versus unnecessary industrialization, and especially...
The only thing I want to ask you about that, though, is how much do you think that is to do with K. Rool, the character, and how much do you think that is to do with the Kremlings as a species? Do you think the Kremlings are only antagonists because of their leader, or do you think they are just naturally a little bit twatty?
Well, I think...
A bit. Do you think they are the Scousers of the DKU?
And you can say that because...
And it's all right for me to say that because I am from Merseyside.
I was going to say, you're a northerner. No, the implication of the Kong-Kremlin history is that the Kremlins used to have their Kremlantis empire stretched to Donkey Kong Island before it was Donkey Kong Island. And then the Kongs, developed intelligence and kind of overthrew them and claimed the island for themselves. So there is this historical bad blood between the two cultures. And if you want to get technical, I think that the Kongs were kind of in the wrong initially, especially if you accept the fan theory, which when I say fan theory, I mean I'm the fan whose theory it belongs to. But
no, I always enjoy these though.
That the Kongs were the Tiki Tak tribe. That the Tiki Tak tribe was a Kong cult, and that through the power of Tiki Tong, they overthrew the Kremlins from Donkey Kong Island, or what would be Donkey Kong Island. So you've got this historical friction between the two races. But I wouldn't say that all Kremlins are twatty, as you said. No. They, I think it's the fact that there is this tension between the two, but it took a complete asshole, an idiot like K. Rool to come along to really blow up this kind of this Cold War between the two and create openly hostile battles, and I do believe that is K. Rool's fault, because we later meet Kremlings who are all right, and I mean that's the whole point of Crunch's story arc, if you can call it a story arc, it was really just
I mean, we have used that term quite liberally in this episode, so yeah.
Right.
I mean, I've got a story arc in this very episode.
You do. You're learning how to have a discussion with me rather than just shouting insults in my general direction.
Oh, shut your fat face!
You haven't reached the culmination of that story arc yet.
Sorry.
You're still on your journey, and it's nice to see you still stumble from time to time.
I stumble, but
At least I don't crumble.
What? No, I mean, Crunch, the story arc, that's kind of a silly term to use. He was spying on Diddy and friends in Diddy Kong Racing, and then we saw him in the ending cinema partying with the others, so it implies he learned that they're all right. So that's the extent of his story arc, but it's still deeper than most racing games get, so...
There's a couple of interesting things about that, though. The first one is... I mean, I know it's a massive tangent to talk about Crunch rather than K. Rool, but let's. So the whole reason he was there was to come up with a report to bring back to, and I quote the manual, the boss. So A, I want to know what was in that report, because I'm curious to know what he said. And B, who was the boss at that time? I like to think it was Chaos.
So do I, actually. That's the whole reason I had you on the show tonight, Matt, so you would validate my idea that it was actually Chaos and not K. Rool he was writing the report for.
Yeah.
No, but I would imagine the report would be something like giant space pig genie, bad news.
To which Chaos would respond, "There's no compute."
So, I mean, and there's K-Lump.
Another fun robot things.
Yeah.
I love Chaos.
Yeah.
He's a robot. Yeah, robots.
I can't wait till Character Witness Chaos. We'll have so much to discuss.
Yeah, look forward to that next week. 4-parter.
So, it's K-Lumsy. He's all right. Clubba had his moments where he seemed like he was conflicted. And, when I was young and intolerant and a bit of a racist.
Lactose intolerant.
Right. Actually, I'm finding myself to be very lactose intolerant now. I think that's a leading contributor to my IBS, as I mentioned last week.
I think lactose intolerance is a disgrace, and I think you should be ashamed of yourself for your intolerance.
I'm trying to learn how to better be tolerant of lactose, Matt. I'm trying.
Yeah, well.
But my parents drowned in lactose, and it's hard for me to forgive.
Lactose, is that what they told you? Okay.
I don't even know what you're implying, but I know it's filthy, so I'm just laughing along with it.
Neither do I. Nobody does.
And
just laugh and move on. That is the only way to deal with me.
So K. Rool.
Anyway, so K. Rool.
K. Rool. He first openly struck against the Kongs, besides doing shitty stuff like building factories and tearing down their forest. He first really manifested himself as a out-and-out hostile threat when he stole the banana horde in Donkey Kong Country. And a lot of people...
I like, by the way, that, no, it's fine to, violate our territory and build environmentally pollutive factories on our land, but steal our bananas... That is a disgrace. That's the banana that broke the... That's the something that broke the something.
Well said. To be fair, Donkey Kong really loves bananas, and I think understanding that deep characteristic, which it's kind of subtly woven into the fabric of Donkey Kong Country, you don't really understand that Donkey Kong loves bananas on the first playthrough, or even the second or third playthrough. It really only comes through after you spent a good dozen to 2 dozen play sessions throughout the entire game, and then you'll start to understand that little bit of nuance that really makes this one of the deepest stories in all of Western civilization.
It's true, though, isn't it? They do really like bananas, don't they?
They do! I mean, good lord.
They do, don't they?
So, why did K. Rool steal the bananas? This is something that's often questioned by fans, new and old alike. Because K. Rool mentions in the Payon games how much he hates bananas. So, I know Chad has the theory that the bananas are embedded with magical properties that we've seen the Tiki Tak tribe harness, and maybe this is why all of these civilizations are like trying to get Donkey Kong's fucking bananas, because they don't realize they can just go to the grocery store and buy bananas. They don't have to go to a dingy...
There aren't any grocery stores on Donkey Kong Island apart from in Big Ape City, where I suppose there would be. Oh, shit, I've ruined it, haven't I?
Well, here's the thing. If you want fresh bananas, would you go to the grocery store? Would you go to the many banana trees on Donkey Kong Island? Or would you go to a dingy cave where some creepy ape in a necktie hoards thousands and thousands of bananas that mysteriously don't seem to go bad before he can eat them all?
Oh, yeah, the cave defos. Let's have the ones from the cave. They sound like brilliant bananas.
Yeah, I would want the cave bananas, too.
Brilliant bananas! I want to make that. I want to popularize that as my new catchphrase.
Because here's the thing.
That's brilliant bananas. Brilliant bananas, man.
Here's the thing. I buy bananas about every week, and they always go bad before I have a chance to eat them, because I get them when they're green, and I'm like, oh, they're not ripe yet. This will be good.
You shouldn't shove them up your rectum before you eat them, then.
How else am I supposed to pleasure myself with a banana, Matt?
Oh yeah, you make a good point.
I mean,
maybe put a condom on it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just not the same. It doesn't feel the same with the condom.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it?
I need to pleasure my prostate with delicious fruits. All right, and the nectarines just don't cut it.
You shouldn't cut it, though, man. That's dangerous territory.
I would like to send a warm hello to everybody who might be listening to this from Rare or Platonic this week. Also, to Retro, if you're listening to this and you needed you needed to find out exactly why the fans love K. Rool, so you could consider bringing him back. I hope we've answered your questions.
Hey, man, I didn't realize we were meant to be making the case for him as a appealing character. I thought we were just sort of going to say words for a bit. If I realised this episode was meant as a kind of argument or had a point to it, then I would have had a different attitude.
I really would just love that. What if Nintendo was actually considering whether or not to bring K. Rool back? And this is the episode. This is the evidence they had to sway them in the direction that no, they will never bring K. Rool back. They mustn't, because this is the kind of fan base K. Rool attracts, and Nintendo wants no part.
Yeah, I think Donkey Kong fans are the proof that Donkey Kong fans don't deserve anything they want.
It's true. We're the worst. So... I have always been under the impression that K. Rool did like bananas. I know. But here's the thing.
The stupidity of this conversation is excellent.
I think...
Sorry, every now and then I have a moment of self-awareness, but it's very rare, though, so carry on.
You don't see banana trees on Crocodile Isle, so I think K. Rool, being the big gluttonous piece of lard he is... really just got a hankering for bananas, and him wanting what he wants. He wanted as many bananas at once as possible, and the easiest way to go about that was stealing Donkey Kong's banana hoard. And if it also, waggled his dick around and made him seem like a bigger fucking deal and a bigger threat to the Kongs, then all the better for it. He's not very rational of a leader, but whatever decision-making process he decided to go about, I think... this one act, this one moment of, yes, I think we should steal Donkey Kong's bananas. That is the moment that sealed the fate of not only K. Rool but also just the entire Kremlin crew in general. This is the moment that set it in stone that the Kremlins would kind of crumble as a society and a civilization, and it would be the end of their empire over the next few years. So,
and what's excellent about that analysis, by the way, is the fact that you've extrapolated from what really was the most piss-takey, like deliberately half-assed video game plot, even for the time, just stupid. Monkeys like bananas. Big lizard man steals them. That's your game. And you've made it into this kind of resonant, moving, just like gripping story. It's a beautiful thing to behold, and I just thought I'd express my appreciation for it. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Matt. Could you say that in the form of a heckle?
All right. Bollocks! Bollocks! Is that all right?
Thanks. I mean, that's the Matt Cornah I've grown to love, so I appreciate I appreciate having that reassurance that you're still in there somewhere.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I realize the plot of Donkey Kong Country is a complete piss take and that it's not meant to be taken seriously, even though that was kind of lost on me.
See, no.
I mean, that was kind of lost on me, honestly, as an 11-year-old, because you don't realize, this isn't really serious in any way. Even K. Rool himself is kind of a piss take of your standard Bowser boss, you know? So I get that. I do. But I think given that the series went on from that point, you've kind of got to extrapolate that plot, as worthless as it is, as part of the larger narrative. I mean...
Oh, yeah, no, that's exactly my point, though. I like that you're able to do that with... in such detail, I think, is what's impressed me the most about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have wasted my life, so...
Right. But not as much as the people listening to this.
What intrigues me about the banana heist, too, is he didn't just steal the bananas and go back to Crocodile Isle. They couldn't take them all on the Gangplank Galleon, so they kind of just guarded the bananas in massive piles around Donkey Kong Island until they could, haul them all away, which basically... gave the Kongs enough time to just put a kibosh on the entire operation. But
yeah, and notionally, I think I remember this rightly. The bananas you collect in the game are just the trail of bananas left by the Kremlings hauling the horde.
Well, that was the explanation originally, because in the first two Donkey Kong...
I realize subsequently there's better explanations, I don't know. But yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, the first... Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Land games actually had a built-in explanation why there were bananas scattered everywhere. Donkey Kong Country 2 had the explanation that Donkey Kong was literally dropping bananas as they hauled him away, which how many fucking bananas does this guy have on him? But again, piss take. It was just,
you can hide a lot underneath that tie.
It's a piss take. It's the same reason why are there coins everywhere in Mario, you know. But then Donkey Kong Country 3, it was a new team, and they dropped the idea completely. It doesn't work with Donkey Kong 64 because those were only golden bananas, so where are these other bananas coming from? And Retro also, doesn't really acknowledge it. So I think that can kind of be called into question. But originally, yes, that was the idea. But then, Donkey and Diddy defeat K. Rool and get their banana horde back. So what happens next? So when I was a wee little boy, I had a very simplistic view of the world. So I thought, well, a bad guy's defeated. He must go to prison. And it's only until now that I understand that the rich and powerful get away with everything. So
Right.
K. Rool probably was not locked up because he
right, hold on. Can we just stop there for a minute? You thought he got arrested and got locked up?
Yeah, because he was a bad guy, and
what?
that's what happens to the bad guys when their schemes are foiled.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I want you to tell me what the police that did the locking up looked like in your mind.
I pictured orangutans and chimpanzees in police uniforms
With the hats.
with the hats.
Yeah. Do you think K. Rool got a stripy thing?
I think they let him.
Or is it orange? Is it orange in DK Islands?
I think I pictured the orange jumpsuit. Yes.
Orange is the new green.
So, in my original conception of all these events, he went to jail. But in the Game Boy Advance remake of it, he just gets away. Now, granted, that could just be setting up the second quest, the hero quest you play as Diddy wearing yellow clothes, and
Which is canon.
Which is canon. And we don't see K. Rool getting away at the end of the hero quest. So I'm just saying that could have just set up the hero quest, and he could have still gone to prison. I always imagined the prison would be in Vine Valley for some reason. I don't know why. Because
I think I like the prison idea though, mainly because I think K. Rool would relish the idea of being allowed to dress up as a prisoner.
He just loves the role play.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. But he would still be their king, but he would be in prison. That would just create a logistical nightmare for foreign relations in the Rare Archipelago.
Foreign relations. Oh yeah, we've got a trade agreement with Pinata Island. We don't let that fall through.
See, but I do like to imagine that Donkey Kong Island does have trade agreements with Pinata Island and the Ilo Hags and the rest. It's silly and fun to imagine this.
But who takes care of the admin? These are the unsung heroes of the DKU, the people who take care of all the admin and the police. The orangutan policemen that we never see. Where are the orangutan policemen? Which is a sentence I can't believe I'm saying with such impassioned sincerity.
See, but this is why it's always been fun for me to imagine the more mundane details of this world, the bits we don't see when the games are off, but the world continues. And I don't know. I like to imagine these things that yes, there are policemen on Donkey Kong Island, and
they're all orangutans. I think I like to think the orangutans are the ones that take care of all the boring jobs, like being a clown and throwing barrels and being a policeman.
Yeah. Also, they've got longer arms, so they can handcuff you easier.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
They should employ some of those in the real police, or for the presidency. It's a political satire. It's funny.
I got it. It was actually.
Did you?
It's very witty.
I'm cutting edge me. First thought that
we haven't made that Trump is an orangutan joke at all here on the Conversation.
Have we not?
No, that's brand new. It's the introduction to that.
Oh man.
No, but okay. So K. Rool probably went back to Crocodile Isle, and now there is just this open.
This is a new side of you I'm seeing though, Hyle, because you are famous for quite passionately sticking to your guns when it comes to your childhood theories, and I'm almost disappointed that you're not sticking with the he went to prison theory.
I think it's because how disillusioned I am with the world right now, and how evil always seems to get away with things. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's just, oh yeah, of course K. Rool get off. He probably has diplomatic immunity, and he can just.
Yeah.
But okay, let's assume he did go to prison. What happened next is just hilarious, because we know Cranky Kong got in touch with him before the events of Donkey Kong Land and said, hey,
found him if I remember rightly.
Yeah, hey, would you mind stealing my son's banana horde again? I would really appreciate that. Thanks. Bye. Because that is the plot of Donkey Kong Land. I mean, it's more of a piss take than that, because it's Cranky making a bet with Donkey and Diddy that they can't get the Banana Horde back on an 8-bit system, because somehow the graphical fidelity of their original adventure was how they were successful as heroes. So,
well, it's true, isn't it? Because if you can see what you're doing, it's more likely that you'll be able to complete it.
Right.
And as we all know, in Donkey Kong Land, you couldn't see what you were doing.
Right. Cranky was just convinced if they blended into the backgrounds and had poor falling physics that resulted in instant death the second you went off screen, then surely they wouldn't be able to complete their adventure. But, I mean, we discussed the plot of Donkey Kong Land on the Kongversation. See Spotlight Donkey Kong Land back in Season 3. But, so I won't really get into the fine points, but we know that Cranky and K. Rool had some sort of formal contact. Whether that be K. Rool actually ringing up K. Rool's keep on Crocodile Isle. Like, does K. Rool have a secretary? Like, what would that look like? Like,
Well, you've highlighted something there, I suppose, with all this talk of politicians and diplomatic immunity. I suppose K. Rool and Cranky Kong are their respective heads of state, aren't they?
At that point in time, Cranky was without a doubt I believe the Smash Brothers description in Brawl, I think, said he was the village like chieftain or something. So, or something along those lines.
Chief Cranky. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's racist, Matt. I know you don't realize that as somebody, as a Brit, but
I've never seen someone from another race. I don't believe they exist.
I guess then that's not racist then. I guess I'm being racist towards you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for
Just think about that for a bit.
I'm sorry for how culturally insensitive I am. I'm sorry for the microaggression.
Yeah. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
I need to check my privilege. So
how's it doing? The privilege? How's it going? You checked it? Have you checked it?
I did. It doesn't want to be bothered right now, so I'm gonna leave it alone.
Mine's a bit swollen.
Yeah, maybe there is like a red phone between Cranky's cabin and K. Rool's keep, like much like, and this isn't actually true, but a lot.
Not a banana phone.
They always call
about bananas
during
and
the
phones.
Cold War. Yeah, the banana Rafi. During the Cold War, it was always said there was a red phone between the White House and Moscow. That didn't actually exist, and they didn't have easy communication between like Kennedy and Khrushchev. But
yeah, it was actually like one of those tin cans with a string on the end of it. It was a nightmare.
That was the whole reason we were, at each other's throats. It was just the whole fucking tin can situation. We couldn't think of anything better.
Of course, if you were at each other's throats, you wouldn't need the bloody phone. So
right, that's why the new president and Russia are such great friends now, because they have Skype.
Yeah, thanks, Bill Gates.
He just bought Skype, though. I mean, or his company, his former company, bought Skype. Anyway, we love.
But that means he invented it. If anything he buys, he has invented. That is the rule with Bill Gates.
He invented Rare.
Yeah.
He erased the Stamper Brothers.
Not just the company Rare. He invented the concept of rarity.
Not only in how hard things are to find, but in also the condition of your cooked meat.
Yes, he invented that.
He invented.
So thanks, Bill Gates.
He invented the blood that comes out when you squeeze your meat.
Oh, is that one of his as well? Wow, he's amazing, Bill Gates, isn't he? We should do a spotlight Bill Gates in one of these episodes.
We need to have him on for an interview. I mean, we are properly in with Microsoft.
Yeah, what's
he
doing these days? Yeah, man. Yeah. He'd be up for it, man. I think he's a cool guy.
He agreed.
He's always doing interviews in podcasts.
He agreed to meet with Trump, so why wouldn't he agree to meet with us?
Yeah. Well, we're almost as polite as Trump.
We have a long way to go to reach his level of decorum, but
the dizzy heights of Trump.
Yeah. So, okay, that's one scenario. Cranky called K. Rool on the red phone. Also, my interpretation when I was a kid, and I'm offering both interpretations. I'm putting them out there. I'm not saying one is correct or one is incorrect. I'm letting you, the viewer, choose your flavor. But one interpretation is K. Rool just straight up broke, or Cranky straight up broke K. Rool out of prison. Say he snuck up to the prison wall with a TNT barrel and threw it at it and said, "Hey, K. Rool, you're free." The banana horde's that way. And that's always been...
I like this version.
That's always been the properly ludicrous image in my head. And I am loath to completely abandon that, even with my ever increasing age and battered sense of Mary. I don't know. But either way, this is the one time Cranky and K. Rool were on the same page. They both wanted the same thing, and
yeah, those poor orangutan policemen and women, orangutan police women.
Yes, I don't know, like
orangutan police women.
You would think this would be a huge scandal. Matt, save it for the ape raper properly. Lust after apes from the show.
Sorry.
You are Matt Cornah. You are not in any way affiliated with said ape raper.
Yes, that's true.
That is true. That is a fact. That is canon. So anyway, you think this would be a huge scandal though on Donkey Kong Island that Cranky was cavorting with the enemy that already made a declarative act of war less than a year ago.
It doesn't matter though, does it?
Nah. Nothing matters anymore. So anyway,
no.
K. Rool this time around, he instead of like being on the Gangplank Galleon, which was still docked on this side of the Congo jungle at this time, he instead took to Big Ape City where he hung out on the Zeppelin and had his final battle with Donkey and Diddy on this blimp that he was knocked off of. And by the way, it should be pointed out that K. Rool was quite small in Donkey Kong Land, portrayed as quite small in Donkey Kong Land. He was the size of Diddy. He's never been smaller in any game. And I literally fan-wanked this when I was a 11-year-old. I said, and I played this game with my friend Elliot, and I said, "Oh, K. Rool lost a lot of weight in prison."
Nice.
He lost a lot of weight and a lot of height as well.
They must have him on a nice exercise regiment. Like he's doing a lot of weights in the prison yard.
Yeah, man, you shouldn't go to the gym because you'll just get shorter and shorter
until you become a tiny little elf man, a little gnome.
Like Mario in the new game, he's a little gnomey man.
Yeah.
It's very upsetting that
it is, because what did he have a birth defect? Did his parents smoke when he was in the womb?
Is he a different species?
That's according to some Nintendo fact file from the early 90s. Yeah, he's a different breed of humanoid altogether. But
well, yeah.
But, you know, we'll save it for the Super Mario...
Tiny little gnome man.
We'll save it for the Super Mario Odyssey episode, because I have nothing to say this week about New Donk City, because everybody's been after my ass all week long. Hi, Hyle, New Donk City. This destroys your...
Well, if you don't mind me saying so, Hyle, it is a beautiful ass. Oh, I'm after that ass.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
You know how to flatter a guy. But no, everybody's been taking some sort of anarchic glee in the possibility that my beloved Fanon will be destroyed. And thank you for your love, everybody. I really do appreciate it. Thanks. Anyway, so the short little gnome K. Rool was knocked off the blimp, and...
Gnome K. Rool, that's a good disguise for him to have.
He should be a gnome! Holy shit!
If he was wearing a little gnome hat in that game, that would have legitimized it.
He could have like a white strap-on beard, and...
yeah.
I am a gnome! Look at me!
Little curly shoes. Oh, I would love gnome K. Rool. Anyway.
But K. Rool is a villain a character who fluctuates wildly in size.
He does.
I don't think he's ever been the same size in 2 games.
Apart
from ports.
Yeah,
even in DKC 2 is a little bit smaller, and in DKC 3 I think it's slightly bigger.
Yeah, I was going to say there is no consistency in the original Country games, and Donkey Kong 64 is just preposterous, which we'll get into that just a bit. But yeah, he's pretty much a man, much like Bowser. I mean, Bowser can be any size depending on what the situation needs be. But maybe K. Rool just slouches a lot. And he has to remind himself, oh, don't slouch so much. It looks unkingly.
Well, I've got my own theories about it. I might, because you always do this, so I might crack on into my one.
Go ahead, Matt.
Well, and I realise I'm jumping ahead a couple of games, but it's been a long show, and we might as well. In DKC 3, he's a mad scientist, and I like to think that's always been latent in him. And in DK64, we discover that one's size may be altered with the use of potions invented by, say, I don't know, a mad scientist. So I reckon K. Rool has been doing genetic experimentation on himself for ages, and it keeps backfiring, and sometimes it goes in his favour,
and sometimes it makes him a tiny little gnome man.
And that is a perfectly valid theory.
And basically, K. Rool's story arc is like the story of an addict in recovery.
Yeah, that would be it would be amazing if when K. Rool eventually returned, his years of elixir abuse have taken their toll, and he's just this withered, shrunken husk in an iron lung
with loads of flaps of skin from all the fucking size changes.
He just has drool coming out of his mouth. He's like a Stephen Hawking.
King K. Drool, I call him.
K. Drool would be not only just terribly offensive, but also my favorite rendition of the character. Make it happen, Nintendo. So, anyway, back to Donkey Kong Land real quick, and then we'll fucking move on, because I know it's probably 4 a.m. over there in Jerusalem at this point. I keep saying you're in Jerusalem because you were doing this on Jerusalem time for some reason.
It's my spiritual home.
Yeah. Clearly, you are a man of God.
Oh, no. I just chose it at random.
Yeah, your world clock is on Jerusalem time right now. I'm not making this up. When we have to sync this up before we start the episode, and he decided to sync it up using Jerusalem time. So it
felt like God's time.
Yeah, and I like that God now endorses this episode of the Kongversation. It makes what we're doing feel more righteous, and
man. Thanks, God.
I feel like we can.
Cheers, mate.
I feel like we can smite the other podcast.
Can we smite the other podcast? Which one will we smite first?
How about that podcast that makes fun of podcasts? Because
let's do that one first.
They went after us about a year ago, and
which is ridiculous when you think about it. Because what in this episode can you think of that is worth derision?
This is
of any kind.
All flawless commentary that you cannot pick apart in any way. It's intellectual.
So
thought-provoking.
We'll smite those.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's sexy. It's sexy as well.
Erotic as all get out. It's just the total package of entertainment.
Sexy package.
That's right. Dangling in your face. So K. Rool fell off a blimp, Matt, and it was my fan.
Yeah, it did, didn't he?
It was my fan, and that he must have been seriously injured by falling off a blimp, as you want to do when you fall a great distance.
Ooh, that's just reminded me of something. I don't know if I should. I'll wait, but I'll make a note of it. This is professional, isn't it?
This is professional. I want to get out my point about K. Rool falling off a blimp, considering it's been 20 minutes since I've been trying to say this.
Shut up!
I know. Me complaining about tangents. No, I imagine that K. Rool was in a full body cast after the events at Donkey Kong Land.
Another brilliant disguise. I am Mummy K. Rool now, thank you.
And you could either interpret it him sitting back in K. Rool's keep in just a body cast with like a bendy straw so he could sip his drink, or him in prison in a full body cast, just pissing all over himself. Either way, it's a great visual.
There's going to be a lot of piss.
Yeah. So, anyway, he eventually healed, though. He healed, and he was so full of rage over his 2 defeats at stealing the banana horde. The second one, he was provoked by Cranky, though. I feel like Cranky just made the situation worse by just saying, "Oh, no, K. Rool. I believe in you as leader of Donkey Kong Island. I want you to upset this delicate political imbalance even more so by stealing by stealing my son's bananas yet again." But nonetheless...
Yeah, well, in fairness, K. Rool's been building factories on his island for ages. No one bats an eyelid. As we said earlier in the show, steal some bananas and suddenly that's the thing that triggers his son off. Cranky's annoyed at his son for being so petty.
Maybe there is a little bit of that. I never really considered it, but you might be.
Neither had I until just now. It's good, isn't it?
It's very good. So, K. Rool at this point must be just full of anger, and he's not very introspective, that K. Rool, so it's just anger directed at the Kongs. And he knows he can fucking get those Kongs, but instead of just stealing a banana horde for a third time, because that would be ridiculous, he changes it up and he decides to completely just remove the source of his pain from the equation. He kidnaps Donkey Kong. And granted, he should just like murder Donkey Kong, right? Like, and don't just kidnap him, just shoot him in the head in his sleep. But
well, I mean, he's committed to his revenge, though. When we encounter him in Donkey Kong Country 2, he's literally torturing Donkey Kong. So maybe he was intent upon killing him, but he just thought he'd draw it out for a bit. It's horrific, that, isn't it?
That is the most brutal thing I think I've seen in an E-rated Nintendo game, or KA from the era, but for the American ESRB. But that I've never seen. It's literally a scene of K. Rool torturing Donkey Kong, a beloved Nintendo character, and there's no other way around it. He's beating him with the butt of his gun and firing. They're cartoon cannonballs coming out of his blunderbuss, but all the same, he's still shooting him at point blank range.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
So,
I remember being upset by that when I first saw it.
Yeah, I
was a sensitive little boy.
Yeah, if I cursed back then, I surely would have uttered "holy fuck." But I mentioned a blunderbuss. K. Rool also adopted his first personality change during this time period and became Captain K. Rool. And, you can interpret this in a couple different ways. Why would he do this? For me, I think this is the first cracks in his psyche starting to show. He failed twice as just K. Rool, and he realized he had to build a better version of himself. He clearly already fancied pirates, and he enjoyed the romantic notion of, well, what if I were a pirate? And so he decided to just completely rebrand himself. Not only himself, but his entire army as pirates, which gets into the delightful bit of fanon where he saws off the legs of several of the critters and forces them to
I want to pull you up on that, though. Personally, I reckon my feeling about it is that Crocodile Isle has always been piratical, and the Kremlings that live there, and Kremlings in general, are by their nature like that anyway. It's just, it was only the team of Kremlings that went over to DK Island to make their incursion that were military gear, because they were like a kind of military team. But by default, they're pirates. That's my that's Matt's fanon, or so you can have that if you want. Put that in your locker,
in your B locker.
Yeah.
I would like to agree with that. The only thing is, if it wasn't,
do it then.
If it was just the first 3 games or 4 games, I would say that definitely seems to be accurate. But the problem is then we have Donkey Kong Country 3, Donkey Kong 64, the Payon games. We have all these instances of Kremlings not being pirates. And they wear different gear or no clothes at all.
Well, according to your fanon, most of them died and the rest of them sailed off with fucking Clubber. So the only ones left are the ones that are part of K. Rool's crack military team and the ones he's been genetically modifying when he was a mad scientist.
Okay. It's a perfectly valid theory.
I've thought about this for too long!
But I don't think K. Rool really adopted the Captain K. Rool persona full stop until...
No, I agree with that bit. I agree with the personality change thing.
Yeah.
I think he just cracked and decided to dress as a pirate.
Yeah, and he hid behind his big gun. And But of course, it was his hubris of taking the battle to his...
Hubris, nice guy.
Yeah. To his homeland. I mean, they went to Crocodile Isle... Instead of being on enemy territory this time around, they lured the Kongs in. And while this would have given them the home field advantage, this eventually led to a catastrophic series of events that ultimately destroyed Crocodile Isle entirely. And
So, but before we get into that, I wanted to tell you about something. I'm pretty sure I've not spoken about this on the show before. Maybe I have. Who knows? Interrupt me if so. So at the end of Donkey Kong Country 2, if you haven't got 100%, the last you see of K. Rool is him falling into the waters surrounding Crocodile Isle and being chomped to death by sharks.
yes.
And that was as far as I'd got in Donkey Kong Country 2 when I first played Donkey Kong Country 3. And when you encounter Donkey Kong Country 3... Sorry, when you encounter K. Rool in Donkey Kong Country 3, K. Rool is flying around on a little propeller thing, and it looked to me like he had no legs. So I always thought that K. Rool had lost both his legs in the sea.
That would have been brilliant if true.
I remember thinking, that's fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been brilliant.
It's not true. I thought it was interesting, though.
Yeah.
It's not that interesting,
Well,
is it?
I remember thinking...
It's got no legs.
I remember thinking K. Rool was dead when he was eaten by those sharks. I remember thinking, wow, I can't believe Rare had the balls to kill off the main villain. Just like that. That's an excellent ending, and there's still a secret ending we have to get to. I wonder what that's going to be. And I was pretty dense back then, apparently, because I didn't realize, of course, K. Rool is going to be back for a one more battle. I didn't really know what to expect when you got inside the crocodile core. You know, I thought maybe you would fight some ancient Kremlin god or something, but nope, it was just a wet K. Rool who had healed himself from this shark attack. But yeah, then he fell into the Kremlin source power, clogged it up, created a I don't know, an eruption when it built up enough pressure, destroyed Crocodile Isle, and he barely escaped. And you saw him sailing off into the distance, but Crocodile Isle was destroyed, and we are left to assume that the vast majority of Kremlins died. And that really,
to say nothing of all the other wildlife.
Yeah, because we know, I mean, some of the wildlife definitely escaped and became proper animal buddies, you know, but for Squitter, I would hope Radley and Clapper and, you know, Glimmer, and we know Quawks got out of there, and Squawk, but
of course this was the 90s, so they didn't have that thing where you could mark on Facebook that you were safe in the Crocodile Island disaster.
Oh, if only.
So we're still not sure about Rattly.
Yeah. There is a bridge in Donkey Konga 2 that has Radley's image engraved on the side. So I wonder if that's the Radley Memorial Bridge.
Right. He was a candle in the wind. In fact, I think at the end of this show you should put that on.
Yeah, the only thing is I don't want Elton John to sue us or YouTube to pull this.
All right, I'll do a cover version of it.
Yeah, okay. You do that the next day, Matt. The next day I have to get this up.
No, I'll do it live. Do it live.
Okay, I'll sit back. I'll do it now. Do it now.
All right.
Oh, candle in the wind. Oh, he's such a candle in the wind. Oh, I'm blowing out, candle in the wind. Blowing out, candle in the wind. Oh.
How does it go?
I think that was better than the original.
Thanks, mate.
Great.
I forgot the lyrics, man.
Well, the great thing is,
But I think I got the tune spot on, though, man.
the great thing is, Kate Middleton didn't have to die or anything to get a new version of Candle in the Wind. So I think everybody won.
I was hoping she would die.
Well, the year is still young. I mean, who's to say who's going to die this year?
I am.
So I feel like I just got done talking about all this because we had the Spotlight Donkey Kong Land 2 episode back in September. I did that with Joe Mudd. But Donkey Kong Land 2 is a thing, and it's something that DK Vine fully accepts as an additional adventure in the canon rather than just a weak retelling of Donkey Kong Country 2. So the implication is K. Rool stayed away for 9 months or so, sailing about until he decided to come back and raise Crocodile Isle using arcane Kremling magic. And and he, like, the Kremlings, the surviving Kremlings were done with K. Rool at this point. And you already saw some Kremlings starting to kind of get upset with K. Rool's rule in Donkey Kong Country 2. Clubba speaks out against K. Rool from time to time, saying, you know, how much they are starting to dislike him.
He don't treat us right.
He don't treat us right. And was that your pirate voice?
American accent.
Oh.
Doing American.
Club is an American. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
He does look like
he's a patriot.
He does look like us, though. I mean, let's be honest. That is exactly the way we look and act.
Yeah.
Except instead of clubs, we carry around giant guns. But yeah,
moving on.
Yeah. So naturally, if the Kremlings are upset with the direction K. Rool's taking them in Donkey Kong Country 2, after Donkey Kong Country 2, they're going to be pretty fucking pissed that not only is their homeland destroyed, but, you know, they lost most of their species in this catastrophic explosion. So it was always my fanon as a bridge to build the Donkey Kong Country 3 that the Kremlings essentially impeached him. And basically Donkey Kong Land 2 was...
deposed, I think, is the right word, right? Because he's not the president.
Well...
Unless that's his disguise that week.
Well, but there's whatever mechanics of, you know, dispelling a king exist within the absurd Kremlin government.
But the succession of power here is something that I find delightful. The idea that they go, right, this guy's clearly not good enough. Let's have a funny robot.
Right. So I always took Donkey Kong Land 2's plot to be, okay, K. Rool's got another chance to get this right, but if he fucks it up, then he's out as king. We're done with this guy, and we're going to choose a new king. The next most powerful Kremlin will be king, and Donkey Kong Land 2 ends with Crocodile Isle sinking again, but you don't see K. Rool sail away this time. So for me, if you plug Donkey Kong Land 2 into the canon, if you accept it for what it is, then Donkey Kong Land 2 ends with the notion that, okay, Rool died. Not only is he no longer king, but he's supposedly dead. He was in the Crocodile Core when Crocodile Isle came tumbling down, and he didn't get out this time. So you go into Donkey Kong Country 3, not worried about K. Rool. The Kremlings have a new king, which is part of the game's plot, and that new king is Chaos. And we eventually realize that Chaos is a robot, a giant robot. Yeah. And that speaks in the robot. Do the robot voice for us again, Matt.
Hello, I'm a robot. How do you do? I'm so sorry for invading your island, but it had to be done. I'm the new king of the Kremlings, you know. I'm a robot. Ooh, malfunction.
considering we just had a 4-part spotlight episode about Donkey Kong Country 3.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't even going to be drawn on the game. I'm not going to make a single comment.
No, basically, K. Rool did survive Donkey Kong Land 2. He wound up in the Northern Hemisphere.
What I will say, though, because I did listen to those episodes, and I remember you expressing some confusion you had about what was even going on in that game, because as you've been quite detailed in saying, the story isn't made clear in-game very well. I remember when I first had a crack at that game and became aware of the game anyway, before I'd even got a copy of my own, that the replacement of K. Rool with Chaos was kind of a big deal, at least in the playground where we would talk about these things. And it was considered a disgrace that they got rid of K. Rool. And
that's crazy. I mean, granted, we view this stuff as disgraces now when they get rid of K. Rool, but it just cracks me up that in 1996, with the character only 2 years old, it could have been considered such a scandal.
Well, I suppose my point is that I think you said that it was no surprise at all that K. Rool was in the game.
It was a surprise to me.
I said it was
Wasn't expecting him to be in it, and he was in it.
I said it shouldn't.
It was a surprise.
I said it shouldn't have been a surprise, but it was a surprise to me too, because DKC3 was billed as the Kremlings have a new ruler, a new leader, and it's Chaos. And so you think, okay, well, K. Rool's not in this game. They're obviously saving K. Rool's return for the Nintendo 64 game, and they don't want to soil it on this last Super Nintendo game that nobody's going to play. But I was surprised, and he was a mad scientist, Baron K. Rulenstein, and of course, as we explained on a Spotlight episode, what he did was, or I guess what the implication is, because I guess you really have to accept Donkey Kong Land 2 as canon and have the interpretation of it that we do for this storyline to be viewed this way, because I think the way Rare intended it was K. Rool has a fake leader to just fool the Kongs, but the way I took it, chronicling
I never
everything
took it that way. I always thought it was secret from the Kremlins as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way we view it, and that's the way I think.
Because the Kremlins openly declare Chaos to be the, I don't know.
Yeah, unless the Kremlins were all...
When would the Kremlins lie?
Well, unless the Kremlins were all in on this giant secret, which you would think somebody...
This fucking Jeremy Beadle style prank. I don't know.
you would think some like random recoil or coin dozer would eventually let it slip that, it's K. Rool, he's behind it all. Don't hurt me. But
Nah, they're too busy bouncing around being annoying.
Yeah, I like the idea that the Kremlins didn't know that they thought Chaos was their new leader, and K. Rool was just manipulating things behind the red curtain, much like Vladimir Putin. And
right.
I don't know. That's the
I mean, I would have a lot more respect for Russia if they were ruled by a funny robot secretly controlled by Vladimir Putin behind a curtain. That would be good.
Yeah. I think that would make...
I would have a lot more respect for Russia. When have I even thought about Russia? Ever? Never.
You just did now. You considered Russia, and you said, you know what would make Russia better? A funny robot.
Yeah. See?
Yeah. So no, Baron K. Rulenstein is outed as the manipulator of chaos, and he gets in a little bit of a tiff with Dixie and Kitty and the Queen Banana Bird, and the Queen Banana Bird drops an egg on him, as I've already mentioned. And
that's the point at which that game descends into absolute lunacy. But never mind, you've talked about it enough.
At the very least, it descends into absolute lunacy at the very end, so there's really nothing left to spoil. But as I said on the Spotlight series, the giant egg didn't really rid the land of K. Rool forever, did it? So the only way I can interpret that is if K. Rool was kept a prisoner of the Queen Banana Bird in the Cloud Realm where she lived, and K. Rool eventually freed himself using his scientific and mechanical prowess, and just, I don't know, flew away on his funny little helicopter backpack.
Or, I don't know, broke it. It is an egg. It was designed to be broken out of. That is what eggs are for.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't fully committing to the idea that he was still in the egg. Like, maybe he was just, like, chained up to a cloud or something, or kept behind a barrier like the Queen Banana Bird was.
I mean, I can already see a problem with being chained up to a cloud. I don't think it would really hold someone.
Stop bringing science into this. This is a faith-based podcast. I smite thee.
Ah! Sorry, I didn't mean to be
disrespectful to my faith, Matt.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Clouds are solid. They're like cotton balls. And you could hold a fat crocodile mad scientist to a cotton ball. I've tried it.
And the thing is, right, I do believe you when you say you've tried it.
I'm very thorough. I'm very thorough in my sick obsessions.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Land 3 was, oh my god, Donkey Kong Land 3, we're still on Donkey Kong, we're still in the original 6 games. There's, thankfully, K. Rool stops appearing shortly after this.
Well, look, no, the thing is, right, this is the bit where K. Rool's an entertaining character, like a ridiculous entertaining character. But, I mean, we could just quickly rattle through DKL3 if you want, and get to what we think about his subsequent manglerized appearances.
We
maybe
can't quickly rattle through it, as we've already established. Radley's probably dead.
Yeah. Candle in the wind, candle in the wind. It's catchy, that song.
DKL3, he was still Baron K. Roolenstein, but Chaos is also still around in this game, so I always took it as the Kremlins are just doubling down on Chaos being their leader. Like, they knew K. Rool was behind him, and that Donkey and Diddy were being used as the source of power for his brain, but maybe they just stuck a random Kremlin in Chaos to keep it going, and they're like, all right, well, Chaos, you are our king, so you've got to keep ruling us. And he's just like, I'm just a dumb fucking robot. What do I know? But nonetheless, Baron K. Roolenstein was searching for the lost world of the Northern Hemisphere. Not Krematoa, but the other lost world of the Northern Hemisphere.
Oh, by the way, spoiler alert, the lost world is it's down a pipe. Stand a little pipe. You know, near the first world. It's there. That's where it is.
It's amazing nobody thought to look under this pipe. Yeah.
It's in a pipe. It's a lost world. It's in a pipe.
But the plot of Donkey Kong Land 3 is there is a contest to find the lost world. And we don't know what kind of contest it is. I always said it was a radio station contest because that seems like the kind of thing that would happen. But nonetheless, it is a contest to find the lost world. Donkey and Diddy are seeking it. And they never appear in the game. Diddy's face appears on balloons, but that's the extent of their appearance in the game. Dixie and Kitty are off on their own looking for it, and they're the protagonists we follow. The Kremlins are looking for it. I imagine Chaos is directing them to find this lost world, because there has to be some sort of prize, like a cash reward. So everybody...
It's golden watches, isn't it?
Is that what... No, the golden watches are just another element to it.
I don't know. It's been too long, man.
But K. Rool is also looking for the lost world, and he's the one who finds it. Funny enough.
K. Rool wins.
K. Rool does kind of win. You do fight K. Rool and beat him, but then he throws the rest of the gold watches at you, and he sticks you in a time trial mode, and he gets away. And I like the notion that he just throws these gold watches at you, and Dixie and Kitty are like, well, now we have to do these time trials. I mean, K. Rool's getting away, but we've got to time ourselves going through these levels. Yeah. But, Matt, did you ever consider that K. Rool uses that prize money then to fund the construction of the Mechanical Crocodile Isle and the Blasto-Matic?
Well, I mean, he's presumably moneyed anyway, although I guess it's already most of it's sunk into the sea. No, I didn't consider that, but now I am considering it, and I'm enjoying considering it.
Because I imagine...
Consideration.
Yeah, K. Rool would be essentially broke right now, and there's no Kremlin treasury left. So where does he get the money to fund the mechanical crocodile isle we see in Donkey Kong 64?
And more to the point, who ran the Kremlin treasury? Counter, I think that would be the name of the
K-ounter?
Coin.
A coin. Just one coin.
Yeah.
He
they were
kept all the Kremlin money in a giant trash lid.
It's the safest place to store money, I think you'll find.
Yeah.
That's where I keep all my money, in a bin. Just till I leave it in a bin outside.
So, that's the way I interpret Donkey Kong Land 3's ending. K. Rool got the prize money, and he used it to build a giant death island. And so, at this point, I think K. Rool, he does escape at the end of Donkey Kong Land 3. There's no ambiguity about him going to prison or him being in an egg.
There's no cutscene with the orangutans arresting him.
No, he just gets away. Chaos could have been arrested, and I like the idea of the orangutans putting handcuffs on Chaos. Right, so K. Rool gets away, and
I was just enjoying the image. I don't have a comment.
No, yeah. I imagine since K. Rool got away, where would K. Rool go? He doesn't have an island anymore. His pirate ship was presumably taken by Clubba. I think
he's dressed as a tramp. He would have a fun time dressing as a tramp.
Why isn't there a hobo K. Rool? With a little bindle?
Yeah.
So I think K. Rool ran off into the Congo jungle. He went back to Donkey Kong Island and hid in the Congo jungle. And at some point, he met up with Snide the Weasel.
Well, do you not think maybe he went to, say, Willow Woods? Because there's a lot of weasels hanging about around there.
He could have gone to Willow Woods. There's two ways to interpret this. He went to the Congo jungle and...
I mean, strictly speaking, none of this is written down in any of the official materials, so we can just say whatever the fuck we like about it.
I believe it's in the Bible, Matt, the New Testament.
Oh, yes.
Have you ever read it?
The New Testament? There's a new one now.
Yeah, and it has all the Donkey Kong stuff in it.
Oh, man, I'm out of date with my testaments. This is embarrassing.
I know. Well, since Disney bought the Bible, they've been releasing one every year.
Oh, yeah. Have you read that prequel testament?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. With CGI Adam in it. Played by Peter Cushing.
Yeah, I felt it was pretty disrespectful to Adam, you know.
Yeah. Who's thinking about his rights?
Although, you know, they got his lack of rib dead on with those computers. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, he could have either
Bible jokes.
K. Rool. Moving on from the Genesis jokes.
Peter Gabriel, what a dick.
Phil Collins. Phil Collins is also a dick.
What other members of Genesis are there?
There's Mike from off of Mike and the Mechanics.
Tony Visconti? No. Whatever his fucking name. Move on.
K. Rool either went back to Donkey Kong Island and hid in the Congo jungle and met up with Snide, who could have been a refugee from Timbers Island after Wizpig destroyed his home. Could have happened. Or he could have went to Willow Woods, where he met up with Snide the Weasel and formed up some sort of friendship or business deal and said, hey, I've got these winnings from finding the Lost World down that pipe that one time. I'll pay you to build me a death laser that I can use to blow up Donkey Kong Island. How about it, friend? And Snide, having no moral convictions, said, oh, yeah. Because he's also the Kool-Aid man in his spare time, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, a weasel's got to get by.
A weasel's got to get by. And sometimes you've got to commit genocide, tit for tat, you know?
Yeah.
So
Love a bit of that tat.
They build the mechanical crocodile isle, and I don't know where they build this in secret. I guess they were building it off in the ocean somewhere, but kind of a hard thing to build at sea. So,
yeah, it's true, isn't it? It's quite difficult to build at sea.
Quite difficult to build a fake mechanical island with all of these extremely sensitive components and its circuitry without getting it wet.
Well, it appears to be built on a foundation of rock and
True.
stuff, doesn't it? So perhaps there was some like rocky outcrop somewhere that they just put metal bits into.
They just got a big rock that floated and said, "We're gonna build our giant arboration of nature on this." So, yeah, they built the mechanical crocodile isle.
Maybe they built it in space.
Now that's just ridiculous, Matt. Stop being
All right,
ridiculous.
sorry. I'm
You
sorry.
bring
I'm
shame
sorry.
upon us by being so absurd. You got to take this
Yeah,
seriously.
I-
This is Donkey Kong canon we're talking about. This isn't something frivolous for you to scoff at and treat like mere
I'm
child's
fat
play.
as well.
Yeah, try. I know I set you up for that one.
Thanks, mate.
So, yeah, he builds the mechanical crocodile isle, and then because K. Rool is a cheapskate who doesn't make good on the deals he makes, he fires Snide instead of
Finally,
paying
a character trait.
he fires Snide instead of paying him. Literally, like kicks him to the curb and says, "All right, time to destroy Donkey Kong Island." But first, he reclaims his kingship because he goes to the remaining Kremlins and he says, "What has Chaos done for you in the last 3 years? Not much, has he? No. I built you a new island to make up for that island I had destroyed. I should be king again. I have rectified my many years of serious, grievous errors." And the Kremlin said, "All right." And he,
What? You became? Yeah, sure.
yeah. So,
Go on.
and don't go.
Oh.
Are you done doing the silly voices, or do you have some more?
Sorry, I just realised. You know that
Voice that I was doing earlier, I realised it was the voice that Club has in Donkey Kong 64. Oh, Your Excellency, we've already taken care of business.
Which is really weird. That's such a weird voice too, because you would think he would be a gruff, like American drill sergeant, but instead he's just like sniveling,
some
foppish
weird camp northerner.
Yeah. So, this is the point where K. Rool's character is really just kind of maniacal. He's a bit of a Bond villain at this point, but he's got...
Oh, I'd love a James Bond film with a giant reptile that was the baddie in it.
Only if it's still Daniel Craig who's James Bond. Like, that's how he goes out. That's the finale of his tenure as Bond, is he fights a crocodile man.
That's good. That's good film, man. That's good wood. You know how you say good pod for a good podcast? Well, that is a good Hollywood movie, even though probably James Bond isn't made in Hollywood. But it's good wood.
You know how it should end too. The crocodile just eats his head, and then James Bond's headless body just lies there, and blood spools out. And then you know how it says James Bond will return.
Yeah,
It doesn't say that.
just says James Bond is dead forever.
I think that would make the most money out of all the monies that have ever been made. I think we should be president of movies, Matt, because they can't do any worse, can they?
Well, anyone could be president, can't they? So I think I will be the one of movies, thank you. And you can be the one of crisps.
Oh, okay.
You are the president. You are the president of crisps now, Hyle.
I know you're joking and you're just being silly, but
I'm not joking. You are the president of
But here's the
crisps.
thing, Matt. Here's the thing. I would bring as much passion to Crisp as I would bring to my passion for the Donkey Kong universe. I would bring 100% dedication to Crisp. I would make Crisp the best they've ever been and the best they ever will be, ever, 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 in any Crisp bag.
Crisps. Well, you've got my votes, mate.
Yes! All I needed is one vote to be president of Crisp.
It's not a very popular election, is it? Such a low turnout.
Crisp should be run the same way the Kremlins apparently choose their king. Just on a whim. Okay, it's the giant robot. oh, okay, it's the king we kicked out last time, but he's built us a present, so we're gonna pretend like he's okay again. But the thing about Donkey Kong 64 and K. Rool and Donkey Kong 64 is he is trying to just completely obliterate Donkey Kong Island. You know, I mean, granted, it makes sense. He feels like, you know, oh, they destroyed our island, so we are going to destroy theirs, and then we will be the winners. But he also creates this convoluted scheme because the thing is, the Blast-O-Matic isn't really working, and they need to stall for time while they get it fixed. And Snide, in an act of revenge, can jam the transmission, but they need to create this huge diversion. So basically, they use every single idea they ever had, and they jam it in one giant scheme. So they kidnap 4 Kongs. Actually, they kind of kidnap Donkey Kong too, because he's locked up behind bars at the beginning of the game. They were dumb enough to put the switch for himself to unlock him.
Rookie mistake.
Yeah. So
the same error was made by the Acorn people in Conker's Pocket Tales.
Yeah. It's
Here's a tip for jailers: don't put a series of switches inside the cells of prisoners that open the cage.
Right, because I know you're thinking these prisoners are pretty dumb, and Donkey may be all confused, but I think he knows enough to hit a switch with his face on it from time to time.
Hey, Hyle, if you saw a switch with your face on it, would you switch it or not?
I've been conditioned throughout my childhood.
Because if I saw a switch with your face on it, I don't know if I'd be able to switch it.
I don't think you would. I think you would have to tag out.
And I'll push really hard.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though. I would have to hit said switch with my ass. Like, I would have to...
Sexy.
I mean, that's how I've learned you hit giant switches on the ground.
Well, I mean, the American education system, I don't know it as well as you do, but if that's how you do it over there, that's cool.
That's, well, we don't really have an education system as of this weekend, so...
Do you not?
So, anyway... K. Rool kidnaps a bunch of Kongs, even Kongs that have never really posed much of a threat to him, like Tiny, Chunky, and Lanky. I like the notion that the Kremlins just got confused and thought Tiny was Dixie and Chunky was Kitty, and for good, you know, for extra measure, to them. They decided, well, this orangutan over here, maybe he's one of them cops that arrested us in the past.
Yes, see, it makes sense. It all makes sense. He's a cop. They think he's a copper. Yeah.
When really, he's just a wannabe clown.
Yeah.
They also steal Donkey Kong's golden banana hoard, which we all know he got the golden bananas from Mario Party. That's when he first discovered the golden bananas. That was the prize he got for completing DK's board in Mario Party.
Yes, and it does delight me that you're the only person in the world that's made that connection.
Did you also realize that the golden bananas were artifacts created by the Tiki Tak tribe? And that's in the image of that giant golden banana that warps you to Tiki Tonk's dimension.
Well, yeah, obviously that's just that's tacit in the plot, isn't it? You know.
I have a mental illness, and I've learned to accept it. I shouldn't have gotten the vaccine when I was young because it really screwed me up. I mean, Jenny McCarthy was right. She was right about some things. It was not autism it causes. It's a weird hyperfixation on games from the mid to late 90s.
We're never going to get to the later games, are we not?
No, we'll get to it. So anyway, K. Rool's plan goes to shit, and the Kongs foil him. So he escapes in the K Cruiser 2, which we learned from the Payon games. This is the K Cruiser 2, the successor to the K Cruiser 1, which was nicknamed the Flying Croc. And K. Lumsey, a giant, enormous Kremlin for some reason, who K. Rool wanted to smash up Donkey Kong Island as a precursor to him blowing it up. He wanted to weaken their defenses first, but K. Lumsey refused to do it, so he locked K. Lumsey up in a prison. Again, he should have just shot him in the head, but K. Rool doesn't think things through. K. Lumsey bats the K. Cruiser 2 out of the sky. It wrecks on the backside of Dong Kong Island, and what does K. Rool do? His mind fucking snaps again, and he decides, with his back up against the wall, that he needs to adopt a new persona, and this persona naturally is that of a heavyweight boxing champion named King Crusher K. Rool. I like how the GK64 team, for all the game's faults, they worked in every plot element of the Donkey Kong Country games, including, like, they brought back King K. Rool for the iconic purpose of having him as King K. Rool. But at the very end of the game, they said, nope, he adopts a new persona, and it's a boxer. It makes no sense, but we couldn't really theme a game after this, so here you go. He's a boxer now, and he's going to fight you in a ring.
But yeah, I think it's just moronic, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. In a delightful way, though. I mean...
Oh, yeah. Because I'm trying to think how this would even work. You've been defeated. So you say, okay, fair enough, it's a fair cop, you got me. Bring the orangutan cops in if you want, but before you arrest me, just have a quick boxing match and then we'll see who wins, and then, yeah, it'll be fine, won't it?
Yeah, because...
I mean, how did he negotiate that?
Well, the thing is, he's in the flaming wreckage of his downed helicraft, and...
So he must have prepared this in advance.
Yeah, if all else fails, at least I brought a boxing ring along.
So, as soon as... Yeah, he's anticipated it'll fail. But he thinks, right, if the extremely unlikely event that my plane is knocked out of the sky and the Kongs come to kill me, they'll be the ones who are the idiots because they will find themselves in a boxing ring and I will punch them with my boxing gloves.
Yeah, and by the way, K. Rool is enormous in this fight, and
We've talked about this.
You say it could be genetic modification. The thing is, he doesn't have the right number of toes.
Same principle as Cranky's potions.
It is. He doesn't have the right number of toes, though, because when you're Tiny Kong and you shrink down and you run into his shoes.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
He's had a toe job.
That toe job. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. See, I always thought he might be in a mechanical boxing, like, robot suit.
Giant mechanical boxing suit. I remember that one. Yeah. That's also a valid explanation.
I mean, I'm the guy who trades in prosthetic golfing fingers, so of course mechanical boxing suits are also a
How's
thing.
that trade going, by the way?
Very well, very lucrative. It's been our best year yet.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. I'm making more money off prosthetic golfing fingers than I am the Patreon. Oh, you know what we should do? That should be a Patreon reward. We'll send you prosthetic golfing fingers.
Yeah. They may actually just be children's fingers.
Right. Yeah. It's really just the cover.
But they will be orphans, though, so no one will mind.
It's really just the cover for our serial killer side gig where we murder children and we keep them in our floorboards. I mean, we have to do something with the bodies. It would just be wasteful if we didn't. We have to use every part of the orphan. It's only right.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
No, I'm just joking. We've got to get to the end of the episode. I wasn't joking about the orphan thing. We really are monsters. But so anyway, yeah, they have this boxing match, and Funky comes in with a boot gun, a gun with the boot in it, and he kicks K. Rool in the ass, which somehow gives him enough leverage and trajectory to fly out of the downed helicraft / boxing arena, and he goes out to sea where a bunch of seals knock him out even further to sea. And that's the last we see of K. Rool in Donkey Kong 64. So the orangutan cops don't get him. We know that much. Bunch of pirate seals got him. But I guess what's implied is K. Rool is just left adrift at sea, and maybe he washes up on some sort of atoll at some point and goes into a sea cavern and lives as a sea hobo. An ocean.
That's a mermaid.
An ocean homeless man. Which is the term. So here's the thing. This is the last we see of Rare's K. Rool, minus remakes. And we always say the Game Boy Advance remakes are unambiguously remakes. They happen concurrently with the Super Nintendo versions. There was the argument for a time on DK Vine that the Game Boy Color Donkey Kong Country could be its own entry in the canon, a la Donkey Kong Land 2. And the only reason we entertained this at the time was it incorporated a lot of elements from Donkey Kong 64 into it, including the title screen, the fact that you had shooting games with the coconut gun.
Essentially the argument you were making was that it was positioning itself as being the Donkey Kong Land to DK64 in the same way that obviously the 3 Donkey Kong Land games were to the Donkey Kong Country games.
Right.
But I can sort of see that.
I mean,
story-wise,
it's the same story. Although I do find it a bit romantic in the notion that Rare's tenure with Donkey Kong and K. Rool came full circle, and that it all ended with K. Rool trying to steal the bananas one more time. And so if and I'm not saying you have to, and I'm saying please don't, because this lies the path to madness, but if you were to accept the Game Boy Color version of Donkey Kong Country, by the way, I can't wait to spotlight Donkey Kong Country Game Boy Color. That's going to be a corker of an episode.
Wait, let's do it now. Let's do it now. Go.
What we'll do is I'll record. We'll record it whenever we record it, and then I'll insert it into this episode posthumously, but I'll speed it up 1,600 times.
So you are committed to this suicide at the end of this episode, then?
But if you were to accept the Game Boy Color game as a possible Donkey Kong Land to Donkey Kong 64, then I like the notion that Clubba and the Pirate Kremlin sail back on the Gangplank Galleon just to get the lay of the land, see what's going on in the Rare Archipelago or around Donkey Kong Island. And they find K. Rool living in his sea cavern. And K. Rool's like, just give me one more chance, guys. Just give me one more chance. I can do it this time. Let me steal the bananas. And Clubba's like, for Christ's sake. And K. Rool steals the bananas, and he...
Just want to steal the bananas. Please, just give me one more chance. Can you spare a copper?
And K. Rool fails yet again.
I'm just committed to this vagrant idea that you have.
Yeah, K. Rool, the ocean hobo K. Rool fails again, and Clubba is like, fuck you, we're never being seen again. Don't look us up, we're gone. They sail away on the Gangplank Galleon. The orangutan cops get K. Rool, and they lock him away, and they put him in an extra secure cell, and K. Rool is done, neutralized as a threat. And really, I mean, this is either Donkey Kong 64, or if you want to be silly, the Game Boy Color Donkey Kong Country. That's pretty much the end of K. Rool making regular appearances. He will pop up from time to time in the ensuing, 8 years or so, but he's really kind of done as a threat. His next appearance...
Yeah, but
I'm sorry?
The thing about this... the thing is, though, this is the bit I wanted to quiz you about, because you at the top of the episode were quite defensive about this little period of kind of post-Rare K. Rool. I don't think you should be. I don't think it's any good.
You don't think any of this is... I mean, you think K. Rool has not done any justice in the ensuing years?
No, not really.
Well, okay, so let's say he got taken in by the orangutan police officers.
Let's say that.
Do you know what his appearance in Donkey Konga is, Matt?
I didn't know he was in it. Okay.
He's in the original Donkey Konga. He makes a
Wow,
brief
what's he
appearance in a mini game, and basically he's crawling out of holes in the ground. And what you have to do is take a steel. You control a floating steel keg with the bongos, the magical bongos,
Right.
and you bash. It's basically like the whack-a-mole games you play in arcades.
Right.
But it's whack.
That's exciting,
it's
man.
Whack K. Rool. K. Rool is
Whack K. Rool back into the sewers where he belongs.
K. Rool is crawling out of holes.
He's like one of the turtles or something.
Well, Matt, my fanon interpretation of this, if I do marry it with my fanciful childhood notion that the orangutan cops got K. Rool, what if K. Rool dug a tunnel out of prison and there is an APP and a bulletin that said, "Oh, K. Rool is escaping from Von Valley Penitentiary," and Donkey Kong, who was practicing his bongos at the time, said, "I've got to do something," and he grabbed his bongos and with it,
What happened then?
with the power of the bongos, found where K. Rool's tunnel ended and beat him over the head with the steel keg and said, "No, K. Rool. No. You've got to go back to
that's
prison."
a classic story, man. I take back all I was saying about the character not being done any justice. That is brilliant.
K. Rool was also dancing on the beach in one of the modes. You could see K. Rool.
All right, so after the beating, he gets to have a bit of a dance on the beach. Is that his parole?
he tried to escape again. You see, but the sultry.
But his victory dance got him caught again. He came a cropper to them
The
orangutans.
sultry sounds of the DK bongos were too much, and he just had to dance on the
All
beach
right.
and then the orangutan cop showed back up, and K. Rool was like, "I would have gotten away too if it wasn't for my need to dance."
Yeah,
Right.
I mean...
So, do you want to rethink your statement about him being done no justice?
No, I'm already a convert, man. You've turned it around. I didn't realize Donkey Konga was so deep.
So deep. And okay, you don't think the Payon games did him any justice? Because he would show up in King of Swing missing a tail. Okay, so maybe getting beat over the head with that steel keg caused him to lose a tail. Maybe the steel keg landed on his tail and they had to amputate it.
I suppose that's interesting in that after my childhood imaginings that he'd been an amputee of some kind, it eventually came to pass. But hey, I don't know.
Well, in King of Swing...
But in actual fact, let's face it, the reason that happened is because they took for reference material the fucking cartoon.
I never really considered that, but you're probably right. I always thought that they thought K. Rool's design was clunky because he had the long tail and the long cape, and they sacrificed the tail.
I suppose it would be difficult to animate, wouldn't it?
They shortened the cape and they got rid of the tail, and I think it was just a design thing. They thought Rare's design was just too busy in the bottom. And granted, I think being busy in the bottom...
There's nothing wrong with being busy in the bottom.
Normally, I'm all for being busy in the bottom, as I've already discussed my predilection for banana penetration earlier in the episode.
Yeah. If you don't remember it, rewind back and have another listen to that classic.
that old chestnut. I've tried chestnuts, too. They work a little bit better.
Sure.
They work a little bit better than the citrus fruits, but not by much.
Thanks for the tip.
So, I have never given you my tip, Matt.
The listeners don't need to know that, do they
Sorry, I'm sorry. I spoiled, the Hyle and Matt shippers out there. They're going to go home crying tonight. So, King of Swing.
They're not the only ones.
I'm sorry, Matt. I'm sorry. King of Swing. Can we just get through the Payon era like in 5 minutes or less?
Well, I think I was about to launch into my thoughts on it, and then we got distracted by arse play.
By ass and tips. Go ahead.
Yeah, which is, our want. He's Bowserish, which I suppose
Yeah, fair enough. That's sort of the point of him originally anyway, but he's petty. He just wants to win a competition this time. It seems oddly unambitious.
Well, here are my notes on the Paon trilogy, if you want to call it that. So,
Okay, please read them.
if King of Swing, because I interpreted King of Swing as not only just the Jungle Jam competition to declare the jungle hero is really just the passing of the torch. Whoever gets the title gets to be the new village chieftain of Donkey Kong Island. So K. Rool, having failed to blow up Donkey Kong Island, decides, well, I'll just become president.
So he's trying to achieve what he wants through legitimate channels. Okay,
I will try to become president. And so his plans start to shift because he wants to take over DK Island rather than destroy. Because the Kremlins are already having to live on Donkey Kong Island at this point, because I imagine the Kongs would have dismantled Mechanical Crocodile Isle, considering it is essentially the equivalent of the Death Star. They wouldn't let that thing just sit off the shore. Considering
it's fine.
Yeah, so the critters, I mean, we already see critters in the jungles during this era because they appear in cameo games all the time, and they seem to have a kind of uneasy but relatively mutual agreement with the Kongs that, okay, we are living on your island, and they go back to Cold War status, and the only ones that really cause any trouble for the Kongs are the ones who still listen to K. Rool's orders. But I imagine a lot of Kremlins at this point just said fuck it to their whole government and just went off and tried to be respectable citizens of Donkey Kong Island.
Yeah. Maybe a few of them got a job as policemen.
There you go. And I imagine there would be a lot of tension on the force, especially in
man.
You know, Kremlin lives do matter, and despite the fact that
oh, Jesus Christ.
I know, why? But the orangutan cops are shooting critters in the street without provocation. That would happen from time to time, and this is where I think the Kremlins really get sympathetic in my head, in these events that were no way depicted in the games. I think
Just in this imagined scenario.
This in the throes of my mental illness, I think the Kremlins really start to redeem their actions.
I think the Donkey Kong series provides excellent social commentary in my head.
Oh God, I do have problems. Because I was going to go into this episode really making that point until it dawned on me that this point is never made in the games. You've imagined it.
It's all you. It's just
God,
you.
I feel sick. Anyway, he fails at this. He fails at this plan. Oh, I guess he broke himself out of the prison again. And then he went back to prison.
He's always doing it. I mean, he's good at it now,
He's
isn't he?
good. He knows how to dig them tunnels. And then he decides he's going to take over the universe because Xananab crashes, and he uses the crystal bananas to make Kremlins mutate into giant monsters, and then he mutates himself into a giant Bowser fire breather who can control the weather. That's a bit weird.
Yeah. It's a bit, I do like Jungle Climber a lot. The dialogue in that game is absolutely abominable.
Well, the abominable snowman was in King of Swing, though. So
that's true, isn't it? Yeah.
Sassy Squatch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but I do think Jungle Climber is K. Rool at his most unhinged because he's failed so much, but he thinks, well, fuck it, I'll take over the universe. And he fails. He fails horribly. So then he says, well, fuck it. Fuck all of that. I'm just going to
play baseball for a bit.
I'm just going to beat Donkey Kong and friends in a race.
Yeah, this is really when he's been kind of neutered, isn't it?
Yeah. And then he reappears in Mario Super Sluggers. And he decides...
It's humiliating.
Well, he's basically he's being a perv in that game because he's hiding in the bushes during that entire time, just spying on them. And then he makes himself known, and he's like, I bet I can beat your baseball, Donkey Kong. And he probably can't.
Yeah.
It's like seeing the school bully 10 years later and he's just a fat sack of shit. Couldn't harm a fly. Pathetic.
We should point out K. Rool has a new garb in Sluggers.
Oh yeah, he's dressed as like a pharaoh or something, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, people have called him, they've nicknamed him like Khufu or Kufi or I don't know, some sort.
Tuten K. Rool.
I think the reason they redesigned him in this one game is to give him a more athletic garb. I don't think they're trying to make him a pharaoh per se. They were just trying to give him a more streamlined look so he could play baseball a bit better. I don't think this is the look that's ever going to reappear. So I think this is literally his baseball getup. Is his sporting outfit, and which is it?
Yeah, I think if Rare were gonna give K. Rool a kind of Egyptian theme, I don't know why they would. Just go with me on this. It would have been much more elaborate. He'd have had eyeliner. Yeah. He would have had a stupid headdress. He'd have had some slaves to give him grapes.
He would have had the chin strap, whatever that chin strap is.
Yeah, he'd have a chin. I've got a chin strap. It's nice.
Oh. Ooh. Oh. Oh.
You all right, mate?
Yeah, it's the IBS. I had some lactose.
Oh, no, man.
But after Sluggers, K. Rool just humiliated. He's completely emasculated, and he kind of slinks away. He hasn't been seen for 9 years. So, yeah.
He was a candle in the wind.
He just vanished, and I think he's so defeated. And if you can apply any interpretation to this, I think you could say he's just given up. He's just sitting. He's sitting in a shack somewhere, again eating crisp. And as the president of Crisp, I should know.
Well, I defer to you on the subject of crisps.
I like to imagine he's like Banjo and Kazooie at the beginning of Nuts and Bolts, except even more pathetic. He's watching like reality TV and just complaining. He's like,
what would that reality TV be though? Would it be orangutan based?
Well,
yes, it would.
We know the denizens of the Rare Archipelago really like Mr. Pants, various television programs. So he's really into Pants Dance or whatever the show is that just features Mr. Pants dancing in his underwear.
Pants, magic pants. Yes, well, so where do we go from here, Hyle? What conclusions can we draw about this?
Well, we've got some...
Because I feel like we've not made the best... If this was like a campaign episode for getting K. Rool into Smash, I don't think we would have done very well persuading anyone.
Well, we almost got him into Smash because Sakurai was at least shaken up a little bit by K. Rool's overwhelming support in the ballot initiative, because he did give us that Mii costume. And you know that Mii costume wouldn't have existed without K. Rool. Probably, we don't know who actually came out on top in the ballot, but I have a feeling it probably was K. Rool, considering we got a Mii costume out of it.
Sure, but doesn't matter. It's only Smash Brothers, isn't it?
If Retro ever makes a Donkey Kong game again, and I don't believe they are making a Donkey Kong game right now, but if Retro ever makes a Donkey Kong game again, I do have a feeling K. Rool will be the main villain, because they've interacted with the Kremlin campaigners on Twitter. Michael Kelbau has kind of given them a wink and a nod. They know the overwhelming fan support. Hell, Reggie just said in an interview that they do lurk on all Nintendo-related forums. So you know they've been on DK. You know Reggie has dipped his balls into DK Vine from time to time. Yeah. And I welcome his balls. I welcome them.
And that's the show.
Like two chestnuts. Those balls are. Yeah. We have a couple calls to take, Matt, and I know it's like 3 a.m. over there or something or other.
It's never too late for some calls.
Couple calls.
Let's have some calls.
Couple calls, and then we'll mercifully wrap up this episode, which I think is what K. Rool would want at this point. He would want us to just end. All right, let's take the first call. Okay.
Okay, all right, let's do it.
All right.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Lighthouse. Yeah, so I was browsing Facebook and it said something about K. Rool, and what can I say? I love K. Rool. Like, he's my bae. I fucking love K. Rool. Why do I love K. Rool? Well, for one, he's eccentric. I mean, think about it. Like, not only does he kidnap DK, he kidnaps Diddy, kidnaps a banana horde. Fucking, he tries to blow up DK Hyle with his blastomatic. He's funny. What else? Like, he'd be a hell of a character in Smash Bros. I mean, I wanted him to win the ballot, but, we all know how that went. But yeah, K. Rool, he's fucking awesome.
Thank you for the call, Lighthouse. K. Rool is fucking awesome. That was his point, and it was a point well made. I like that. No questions, just declarative statements. Thank you for the call. Next call.
Sorry, I'm still in the middle of the Google line thing. So I saw a thing on Facebook where to call in about Rool, because y'all were doing a character witness. This is Mushroom Wings from the forum, by the way. And I just wanted to say Rool's one of my favorite Nintendo villains, and I hope y'all give us more insight into the nice and awesome and cool villain that Rool is. I'm sitting outside right now. I'm probably going to get upstairs real soon, so I have to go back in, but Rool deserves more love. Rool for next Donkey Kong. Bye.
Well, thank you for the call. Using the cartoon pronunciation of K. Rool. Cruel. Rool, yeah. Which made everybody in the cartoon sound like they had a speech impediment.
Hey, man, it's fun to say like that, isn't it?
Rool. I guess it saves some time because you don't have to say K, period.
So much time wasted.
Yeah, this episode's way over time, and this would have been half the length if we would have just said Rool.
It's true, isn't it?
So fucking dense. No, thank you for the call, and I hope we did provide more insights into K. Rool, such as his antagonistic relationship with orangutan policemen.
And the social commentary that springs therefrom.
So much to ponder as we bid adieu. But we got a couple more calls to take, and I have a feeling this is Mamechi because it says it's from Mamechi. So I think it's from Mamechi.
See if you're right. Come on, put it on.
Hey everyone, it is me, Lamech, and this is about K. Rool, like the K. Rool, am I correct? Well, here's my question. What happened to him? I mean, I want to rant for a second. Do you think that Smash costume was like Sakurai bitter, like thought about us, or the fuck off that? Well, I'm going to give them what they want. It's just like something like that, where just being horribly evil to us. Because I think girl really deserves more than that. And the thing is, K. Rool deserves so much more. Here's one thing I'm going to say about it. He really is a cool villain. He's funny, he's charming, he's all that. And if you notice, he's very popular in the furry community. Because, here's the thing about Donkey Kong, Tom. They're all monkeys, man. While monkeys are sometimes popular in that community, they are, in fact, more human-like, so they get less attention. But King K. Rool's is reptile dude, so he's really popular. So my question is, why do you think, what other reasons make King K. Rool so popular in fandoms outside of DK Vibe? Any fan, like, outside of DK Vibe, why is he so popular? Why is he the one people want to smash? Because remember, Sakurai was just being a dick to us. Oh, and by the way, guys, I'm going to Las Vegas on tomorrow actually. And here's a question related to that hope you guys could answer. What should I play at, and what's the best slots, and what are the loosest ones, you know? And give me some gambling tips, okay? Thanks, bye.
Okay, so much to unpack there, Mamechi. First of all, thank you for belching into the phone. That was unexpected. Thank you.
But appreciated.
Thank you for bringing up K-Rool's fandom in the furry community. He is quite erotic, and Matt, what do you think makes K-Rool so appealing? Because K-Rool has skyrocketed in popularity even among non-Donkey Kong fans, and the whole appeal of getting him into Smash Brothers transcended just our insular communities. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I mean, the reasons I like him are unlikely to be the reasons why he's popular. This is true of most things, though, I think. I like him because he's just like a funny crocodile man. He looks at the camera when he's throwing a crown at you.
He killed Daniel Craig in the last James Bond movie.
And he killed James Bond in James Bond the movie. Do you remember?
Yeah. It was Croc. I believe the movie was called Croc Another Day. Oh wait, there's no other day.
Right.
James Bond is dead.
Yeah, there's a massive spoiler in the title, but no one picked up on it. It's strange.
Personally, I think it's because there is a large contingent of people who play Smash Brothers but are Nintendo fans who want more villains in Smash Brothers. They don't want...
Yeah.
There's too much sameness in Smash Brothers, too many protagonists who wield swords, and I think K-Rool, they saw K-Rool, they might not have played Donkey Kong or really gotten K-Rool before that point, but they realized they were actually won over by all the arguments that the Kremlin campaigners did. Yeah. Thomas Freestad in particular, who kind of led the campaign. And
I mean, we could have met Sakurai halfway and had him dressed up in all anime swordsman gear and stuff.
That would have been hilarious. That would have been hilarious. Yeah. But I think just K-Rool is... People realize he is a unique character, but not only that, he is a villain, and he is a well-known villain, of which there's surprisingly little in Nintendo at this point. So I think that was just why everybody kind of started gravitating towards him. And once it became apparent Ridley probably didn't have a shot, I think K-Rool was just what everybody kind of rallied behind. So that's my impression. Finally, Mamechi, for your last question, what should you do in Vegas? I would go see the Beatles Love if I were you. And if you're going to gamble, I would look for... there's apparently some sort of slot machine out there that improperly used imagery from Donkey Kong Country 2. I know this slot machine exists because I saw it in a documentary on Las Vegas when I was a kid. It had Swanky Kong on it, and it was called Monkey Shines. I want you to find this slot machine for me, Mamechi. I want you to prove that it exists. Right. So that's what you should do in Vegas.
Buy me some crisps.
I am the president of Crisp, Matt. I will hook you up with some crisp.
Oh, cheers, mate.
All right. Let's take another call. Only 3 left. Only 3.
Hello, Hyle and Nick, I'm assuming, but it could be someone else this week, maybe even Chad. But anyways, hello, this is Banjo-Kazooie 2000, also known as Bob, here talking about really rambling on about our favorite crocodilian maniac, King K. Rool. Now, let's see, what do I like about this character? Probably the fact that he's able to put himself in so many different roles and kind of fit them so well. Whether it's being a kind of crazy king going after some bananas or some magical tokens of some kind like in King of Swing, or maybe he's just, a pirate scouring the 7 seas looking for Donkey Kong and trying to capture him to get the banana horde. Whatever it is, K. Rool's always fit for the job, although he might just put his ambitions a little too far forward instead of actually trying to make a decent plan to destroy the Kongs without them thwarting him. Now let's see, I was gonna comment a little bit about maybe his appearances and which actually, yeah, my favorite K. Rool persona is the one from DKC2 when he became Captain K. Rool, even though the Japanese version of Super Smash Bros. Brawl claims Captain K. Rool to be his brother. Those people over in Japan don't understand the British lore that Rare put to the character, I guess. But besides that, I have a couple of questions for you, Hyle, and this mysterious other host. I'm not sure who it's going to be. Question. How in the world do you think K. Rool has stayed in the crumbling power, especially after the major mass genocide in Donkey Kong Country 2? That's one question, and another is, which situation, which game do you think K. Rool came the closest?
Oh, he apparently cut off. Thank you, Banjo, Kazooie, Tooie, Bob, and hopefully you weren't driving and hit by a car while on the phone with us, because that would have been an unfortunate way to die.
He says that at the end of all of our calls.
Well, you asked how do we think K. Rool has stayed in Kremlin power, and our argument is he hasn't this entire time. As you've already heard, the Kremlins did remove him from power, and he found a way to weasel himself back in. Haha, with Snide, you see. And I assume the question you were asking before you were hit by a car was, what game do you think he came the closest to victory in? And, what do you think, Matt?
Donkey Kong Land 3, the one where he actually did
There
win.
you go. Yeah, he actually won in Donkey Kong Land 3, and it's K. Rool's proudest moment. He got that prize money from that radio station. All right.
Yep.
Next call.
Hey, Chad and Hyle. This is Baron Barrier from the forums. I apologize in advance for the sound of my voice. I've got a frog in my throat at the moment, or maybe a croc. The throat is really not the ideal place for a croc to be, but I digress. It's a K. Rool episode, so I had to call in. I'm curious to see what you guys have to think about the next way K. Rool could evolve in his new appearances. He's a key character in the series, but he's been MIA for so long that I think some newer fans seem to really like the idea of K. Rool more than the character himself. However he shows up next, I think it has the potential to really define how the character is viewed from that point onwards. So with that in mind, how would you guys like K. Rool to look and act if he returns in his design, in his personality, and what aspects would you maybe like to see carried over from the rare appearances, or is there anything new you'd maybe like to see? Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on it, and cheers.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you called in, Baron Barrier. A.K.A. Thomas Freestad. So, this is the question we knew we were going to get. What do you think? What do we think K. Rool's next persona should be? We knew this was coming, Matt.
Well, when I actually wanted to prepare something in advance of this show, which was a list of potential disguises for K. Rool that I'd written when I was a little boy. But I couldn't find it. It is around somewhere. But I do remember one of them, my favourite one. There was various obvious ones like, I don't know, Commander K. Rool, Clown K. Rool. Basically anything beginning with a C, but you put a K there instead. But my favourite one was Covered in Custard K. Rool.
Is he just covered? Does the custard just cover his naughty bits, or is he just completely
just completely covered in custard? You can't tell it's him, really. It's just a lump of custard.
You've got the bulging eye.
Maybe you'd see the little eyes. Yeah, maybe you'd see those.
The bulging
but that's
eye
it.
with
Just
the eye tick.
Yeah. Just covered in. But get this, you spell custard with a K. It's brilliant.
No, actually, I think K. Rool should just be the king in the next game, because you've got to reestablish him. He should have his golden chest plate back, because the Payon era, he lost the golden chest plate. He had the golden chest plate in Donkey Konga, it should be pointed out, but he lost it in King of Swing.
It should be pointed out.
So, but the Mii costume had the golden chest plate and the tail, so who's to say? Who's to say how he's going to look? But I like the idea if he doesn't regain his agency, if he actually comes back and he is a hobo, and he's just like disheveled and he's got the bindle. I really like that idea. He's got an improbable 5 o'clock shadow. I don't know how a crocodile would need to shave, but I love that idea.
Well, it's the same logic as Cranky Kong having a white beard but otherwise brown fur, isn't it? I like that idea too. Yeah. Let's do it. All right. Let's put it in the next game. Come on.
Well, maybe the next call will change our mind. One more call, and then you can go to bed, and I can create fan art of the orangutan policeman. All right. Let's do this. Let's end this. One last call.
No news, no calls, no tune until tomorrow. Okay, maybe calls. Hello, Kongversation. It is Kevin Folgers, also known as Croconut on the forums. Wow, you guys are on fire this month. First you cover Star Wars, then you're covering Rool. It's almost as if I magically can make all the topics about what I want you guys to talk about.
Oh, yes. Anyways, awesome, Rool. So, now I guess my, question is, well, first I want to say we're all looking forward to Rool's glorious return to the Donkey Kong franchise, which is more than likely going to happen. I suspect it will on the next Donkey Kong game. My question is, how would you like Rool, like, what kind of, let's say, a cinematic opening would you like to see Rool return to? I always imagine, like, the Kremlings, like, getting on board the Gangplank Galleon or whatever, just landing on the shores, kind of like a D-Day style invasion, and just storming Donkey Kong Island. Like, I always thought that'd be a cool intro. What do you guys think? Better yet asking, how do you think Rool, the opening scene of Baja Blast should be, how would you like it executed in terms of Rool's reappearance? Because I think his return to the franchise should go out with an all-out bang. Thanks, Kongversation, and I will see you all soon.
Thank you for the call, Kevin Folgers. Matt, what do you think the cinematic movie should be for Rool's return to the series? Let's say he returns in Donkey Kong Country Baja Blast. How should that be conveyed in a similar sense that the snowmats freezing Donkey Kong Island? How should Rool reveal himself?
Well, I think it should be continued straight away off the back of the end of the James Bond film, and it should chronicle his newfound. He should be a spy, so he should have a tuxedo on. He's stolen James Bond's clothes from off of the film. And he is. It starts in the manner of a James Bond film. That is my idea. I am very tired.
We can go to sleep. You don't need to say anything else, Matt. I will end this episode with my words.
Okay.
I think, personally, I would like to see the Kongs have a police officer appreciation day. And so what they do is they have a big a potluck dinner for all the orangutan police officers of Donkey Kong Island. You know, maybe it's a bake sale and they can have all sorts of cupcakes and so they're all drinking fruit punch with the police officers and they're enjoying this fruit punch, but then they start to get a little woozy. Whoa, the Kongs are a little woozy, and somebody has spiked the fruit punch, and then they realize the police officers, they're not the normal orangutan police officers. They're actually Manky Kongs in police get-ups. And then they collapse and they fall over, and then they wake up, and they're on a prison island, like an Alcatraz. And Rool has orchestrated it all. And he is a warden now, and now it is the Kongs who are in prison. And I feel like this would please both the adult 33-year-old Hyle and the 11-year-old Hyle who didn't know the way the world works.
Yeah, and no one else.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico. Also, I'm going to have to blow my nose now. Because I've had a little bit of a sniffle.
Please don't edit that out. I want everyone to hear it.